Hi, it's Maija here, and today I'm going to do the Choose the Year book tag. I was tagged by Libby Stevenson, and the original was made by Mel's Bookland Adventures. This is quite a simple tag where you go to this page on Goodreads where you can choose a year and it shows you the top 200 most popular books from that year. It goes 100 years back, so it goes to 1919, and I will leave a link to that page in the description. So first the tag asks you to choose a year and say why you chose that particular year, and I chose 1970. Basically at random, because it was a nice round number, so I didn't have to think, and I thought that books from 1980 or 1990, I would have read more of those. So I'm now on my tablet, I'm on the page of the most popular books published in 1970. And the second question is, which books published in that year have you read, or if none, heard of? So I'm gonna go through this list and see which of these I have read. Okay, so the first book that I've read from 1970 is on number 7, and this is The Tombs of Atuan by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is the second book from the Earthsea cycle, and this was the one that I obsessively read and reread as a kid, so I've read this a number of times. I haven't read a lot of these. The next that came up is on number 34, and that is Swords and Deviltry, the first book in the Farfoot and the Grey Mouser Sword and Sorcery series by Fritz Leiber. I just read this a couple of years ago. I wasn't the biggest fan of this, but I have read it. On number 39 there is The King in Yellow and Other Horror Stories by Robert W. Chambers. I have read, I don't know if I've read this this collection. I have read one that had The King in Yellow and other stories from Robert W. Chambers, but I don't know if there are a couple of different editions with different stories, but I have read The King in Yellow. On number 81 we have Moomin Valley in November, the last Moomin book by Tove Jansson. I just reread this last year. I think it was last year, not early this year. It's one of the more adult, more melancholy Moomin books where Moomins have left Moomin Valley, and it's about other characters there. On number 85 we have Asterix in Switzerland, and I read a ton of Asterix comics as a kid, and this one has really stuck in my mind. This is the one where they have fondue, and it has stuck in my mind so much that just earlier this year I was watching a travel show where the presenter is having fondue with a Swiss person, and the Swiss person says, "You know what happens if you drop your bread in the cheese?" And I was like, yes, you get whipped. And that turned out not to be the real answer. But that's the answer that Asterix in Switzerland gave to me. And apparently this just lived in the back of my head, so I was sure that you're gonna get whipped. The person on the travel show said that you had to take a shot. Tomatoes, tomatoes. On number 100 we have another Asterix comics. This is Asterix and the Roman Agent, and I don't particularly remember this one, but I'm sure I have read it at some point. And I think that's all. I think that's all of the books that I have read from this list. And the third question is, are there any books published in that year that sound interesting, and would you read them now? On 195 there's The Interpretation of Fairy Tales by Marie-Louise von Franz. I'm always interested in fairy tales and non-fiction about fairy tales. There's not really a lot in here. There's not a lot of classic science fiction or fantasy, for example, that I would be interested to read. I think there was the first Chronicles of Amber book, but I'm not particularly interested in that. There's the second Farfoot and the Grey Mouser series. I didn't know they had two come out this year, and that is Swords Against Death. I think all of these are collections of short stories that have come before, so maybe two of the collections were published this year, the first two. So I do have Swords Against Death because I have the first two in a bind-up. And even though I was lukewarm about the first one, I'm still gonna read the second one and decide then if I like them. So that's the Farfoot and the Grey Mouser series by Fritz Leiber. There's one Elric book. I have read, I think, the first two Elric books at some point, but I don't think I want to continue. Master and Commander by Patrick O'Brien, the first book in the Aubrey and Maturin series, is here. I have seen the movie years ago. I remember the movie. But in all honesty, I don't think I'm gonna pick up the book. Oh yeah, now there's Nine Princes in Amber, the first Chronicles of Amber book by Roger Zelazny that I mentioned. It's on number 11, and yeah, I don't think I'm gonna pick that up. And no, there wasn't really a thing that stuck out as something that I would really want to read. I do have that second Farfoot and the Grey Mouser book, so that's the only one that I'm really going to read. Then question number 4 is what is the most obscure sounding book you found on this list? This is something called The Wump World by Bill Peet. Pollutions invade the Wump World and turn the green meadows into a concrete jungle. This is a children's picture book. I have never heard of this, but it might be that this is a classic that people from the country where Bill Peet is from are really into this. Maybe this is like a kid's classic and I have just never heard of it. He's from the US. Okay. And it seems he was actually working for the Disney Studios. This is the cover of Wump World. I guess these are the Wumps. Let me know if this is something everyone should know. The question number 5 is the strangest book cover on the list. And this is something that got my attention when I was scrolling through the list. This is Ira Levin's This Perfect Day, and it has this really 70s science fiction cover. It's not like the worst or the strangest, but it's really 70s. So that was the Choose the Year book tag. I found this to be a really fun and simple tag, so thanks Libby for tagging me for something that didn't require a lot of mental energy. I'd like to tag Shannon Riddler in case you haven't done this tag yet. But that's all from me for now, and I will see you in my next video.